This is the Money Hour with your host, Tina Mitchell, on Alternative Talk, AM 1150. Now, back to the show with local mortgage and finance expert, Tina Mitchell.
Welcome back to the Money Hour with your host and mortgage expert, Tina Mitchell, right here on 1150 AM KKNW, the Saturday, September 6th show. I am dedicated to my listeners, providing you with the tools needed to make informed decisions on all matters when it comes to your money. If you're listening to my show at a different time or day, you're listening to a rebroadcast, to talk with me or any of the guests that I have in studio, you can call into the show at 1-855-400-1150. Again, that's 1-855-400-1150 or online at themoneyhour.com. And in studio right now, I have Gil Sandoval with Caliber Real Estate, and we're going to talk a little bit about real estate. Gil, thank you for coming back into studio. It's great to see you again.
My pleasure again.
And a little bit about Gil and his background. Gil has been in the real estate business for 23 years and has been a landlord for over 30. He has created a unique for sale by owner program. He has the benefit of working with his wife, who has 22 years experience and is in the staging profession. Gil has received many production awards during his career, employs of latest technology to best serve his clients, and with success shares his knowledge, mentoring, and coaching new agents to assist with their venture into their real estate career. And I know, Gil, that's got to be a task taking on. I mean, just starting from the beginning, I know for myself doing mortgages, I always think back, how in the heck did I actually make it my first 12 months in the industry? And same with real estate. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on. It's constantly changing. And in this market, in such a competitive market, you just really have to have that expertise to really take care of your clients.
That's right. I mean, you made me think about my first year. I think I worked 60 to 80 hours a week my first year. Yeah. And luckily, I only had one child at home, and she was just finishing her last year in high school, so I didn't have to be at home a lot.
You're not working 60, 80 hours anymore?
No, I've cut it down. It's like they told me at the beginning, you only have to work half a day, and you can choose which 12 hours you want to work.
There you go. Makes total sense. So, Gil, when you were here a few months ago and you were with Skyline Properties, I see now that you've changed and want to share it with my listeners to Caliber Real Estate. Why the change?
I've been doing the investment real estate working with investors for 4 years now. Mm-hmm. And during that time, I came into it maybe just a little bit naive, and I found out that there's two basic types of people that work in the trustee auction business, and there are the real estate agent kind of folks, the people that work in real estate, and there are the folks that just work in real estate auctions and selling stuff, and there's a whole different level of integrity. The real estate folks, I think we're all geared with that realtor mindset where we have a code of ethics that we adhere to. Yep. All full disclosure, everything needs to be in writing. And I saw so many of the other guys that things were never explained, they weren't understood, and sometimes omitted. And it's taken me almost 4 years to sort of weed out and find out who the really good guys are to work with. And there's a guy, Ian Morrell, he's the CEO at Caliber, and he was working with another company, and I ran into him in my first year and had a couple of really pleasant experiences with him. And kind of from a distance, I watched him, how he worked, the guys that he worked around, and they never double talked. They were just always there. They were accessible. You could ask them even what felt like silly questions, and they didn't talk down to you. And I just thought, these guys are really cool. And then they started their own company over a year ago, and they brought in the same mix of folks. And every Thursday night, there's a bunch of auction groups that kind of do what we do. And I've been to most of them, and these guys do far and away the best presentation on Thursday nights. They got a nice room, really a great website, and then they got so much information. I started going there, and even when I don't have investors to take, I go there myself because it's so great. Yeah. They provide so much information on the houses that are out there. And I mean, every one of them, they go out and drive them. They've got information on lots of photos on them. And they give you everything you need to know as far as repairs, what it'll sell for, the most that you should pay for it, and approximately what time frame that you'll have. They show every week. They show one of their success stories, a house that they took from garbage and what their crews do. Oh my word, they do beautiful work.
That is great.
And for the investor, almost all of their stuff sells over asking price.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So, Gil, what exactly do you do to provide accurate data for your investors? And you talk about selling over, asking price and to really provide that, because a lot of it is in the information that you provide to your clients. And so how do you do that?
The biggest thing is who you align yourself with. And I wanted to go with Caliber because they overwhelm me with data. You can ask any question. They do what we call a title scrub, and they're looking for anything that might come out of left field that could impact the investor's profit margin. And we're looking for mechanic liens, and we know about those things. IRS tax liens, we know how to deal with those things. Utility liens, second mortgages, third mortgages. What lien are we going to be bidding on?
Yep.
And so when you, as an investor, have all of that stuff, you get a real complete picture of the property, so that if you do end up getting that property, there are no surprises along the way.
Yeah, and that's one of the biggest things when you're purchasing an auction is you really don't know what you're getting unless you've got the data and the preparation ahead of time. And it's just a whole different risk factor when you're getting into that arena. So getting with a company that gets that data and has it. I mean, there's still a different level of risk that you would see it buying at auction, but there's a lot of things you can do to minimize that. And so I think that's awesome. So how has your business been this year? What are you seeing happening in your arena?
Well, surprisingly, it's been better than I even expected. We've had a more of a difficult time getting things at the trustee auctions because of the competition from the hedge fund. But my traditional real estate business is just it just keeps coming out of left field. And it seems like I average about a referral a day, and some are real good and some are not so good. But all this number of years in the business, I've obviously done business with a lot of folks, and I stay in touch with them.
Yeah.
I keep in touch with them, and I don't let them forget who I am or what I do for a living, and you got to remember me. And I think that it's if you just do that stuff often enough, you find enough really nice folks out there that you've done business with in the past, and guess what? They also know other nice folks, and it makes for a nice cycle.
Well, it sure is an indicator if you take care of your clients, because if you don't take care of them, you don't experience that in your business. So, I mean, that is the truth. Is there's a lot of people that just are not watching out for the clients the first time, and so it's hard to build a successful business around that mentality. So making it difficult for your investors to purchase at a trustee auctions, how has that changed much?
Really, the only thing that's changed is the amount of competition we get from the hedge fund, and they're big players, and generally they've got a different goal, and so they can bid higher on the properties. When we take an investor there, we have an absolute limit, and we stay with that. Once it goes $1 beyond that, we just walk away, because it just doesn't make sense to go into an investment that's not going to give you the yield that you need to get.
Yep.
And we're kind of that watchdog for our folks.
Makes sense. So you work mostly in the South Side and King County. How has the activity been, and how are the sales prices?
Sales prices are softer compared to the East Side and downtown, but they're still good in terms of the appreciation. We're back to where we were a few years ago. Activity's been real good. I would say, for the investor or even just the home buyer that doesn't have as much money to spend and can't afford to be in Kirkland or Woodinville or something, there's nothing wrong with Renton, Kent, Maple Valley. I live in Maple Valley. It's a great place to be, and you can get so much more house there. The problem is that you maybe have to commute, but if you can telecommute and do other things, great schools, great sports factories out there. It's just a wonderful place to be.
So are you noticing much difference in the way that buyers are responding with underwriting? And what are you seeing there?
I am seeing probably the same things that you're seeing, that there's increased underwriting or wanting to double check things a little bit more. We sometimes have to have more documentation from our buyers, and sometimes it's real frustrating for them, and I really understand that. I wish we could just make it real simple for them, but there's a lot of safeguards built into the systems nowadays, as you are aware, and we just have to live with the system and try as best we can to explain to them the hows, the whys, and maybe just be a little sympathetic with them.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I do and coach with my team is, you set expectations up front that we're going to get you a loan, we're going to get it done, and it's going to be on time, but it's not going to be a lot of fun because there's a lot of documentation. But here's the reason why. When the banks made the decision on what they wanted to ask for, we had a meltdown. And so now to protect our economy, to make sure that doesn't happen to all of us again, now you got to provide documents and you've got to provide a lot of it. So I think with, just like you said, you can sympathize with them and explain the why behind it. People can totally appreciate that, because I hope we never get back to the scenario that we were in before the meltdown and set ourselves up for that again. So, and our industry has gone through in the past couple of years changes and things. So what are you seeing?
You know, I'm really pretty optimistic about it. I'm seeing folks having good jobs. I'm seeing younger folks coming out of school and getting good jobs. Mm-hmm. And I'm seeing some younger folks that are coming out of college, young couples that are good savers. I'm seeing some really good habits in young folks out there. Probably more so than I saw when I first came into the industry. That gives me great comfort, and I'm excited about that. My own kids, I've got, kids and grandkids that are home buying age now, and they all seem to have a good information. Their parents are giving them good information. They're seeing stuff, and they're reading the right things, and they're disciplined enough to go out and get their money in place, get their credit together, and have realistic expectations.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, Gil. And I just want to thank you again for coming back in studio.
I appreciate it.
Pleasure to have you here, and definitely a unique in the arena that you're in. So if you're thinking at purchasing, going down to the auction house and purchasing a home, totally different than what we normally talk about in studio here, but there are great opportunities for the right buyer. Investment, most of your investors is really the perfect one of the perfect scenarios in getting a good deal. You've just got to make sure you do it right. So pick up the phone, give the show a call. 1-855-400-1150. Again, it's 1-855-400-1150 if you want to talk to an expert in that arena. And coming up next on the Money Hour, when and why do you invest in real estate? Rylan Taniguchi with Keller Williams Realty Bothell, right here on 1150 AM KKNW after the short break.